joining us on the Corner Flag this episode are two very special gentlemen from Germany. We have with us Mr. Benedikt Scholz, who is the head of international and new business for Borussia Dortmund. And with him, we also have Patrick Owomoyela, who is an ex-player and current legend for Borussia Dortmund. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hello, welcome to, and thanks for having us.
How is it going? How's the weather and how's the lockdown affecting you guys in Germany?
I mean, I think it's almost the same all over the world. People have to stay at home a little bit more than usual and be careful. But I think especially with this kind of weather outside, it's not a hard task to do. Actually, it's quite gray and rainy outside, so I'd rather stay in anyway.
We can certainly see some light at the end of the tunnel because we will have our match in about 4 hours, more or less. 5 hours versus Bremen. So there is something to look forward to this evening.
Absolutely. I've kind of brushed up on my German for this episode. So guten Abend to Patrick and Benedikt. Did I get that right, or did I mess up the pronunciation?
Very well done.
All right. So I'm German now, guys. I'm sorry, but I have just got validation. I am now German. So
by the way, I actually know German because I took a year. I studied German for a year. I only did it because I like Bundesliga, and then that's how I learned that in Grossling there's a beta, but that's actually double S, and that was like the only thing I remember from the entire year of studying German.
Well, that's too bad. Otherwise, I would have suggested to do it in German now here. Okay. How about that?
It would be quite funny.
I'll step out, I guess.
Mukesh, Patrick, and Benedikt have joined the episode. I don't think you need to butter them up anymore now. All right, I think they're already here. We are doing this. This episode is happening.
It is.
All right. So let's begin. All right. I want to start off with Benedikt. All right, because the business side of football is equally exciting. You know, of course, everybody loves watching the game, but there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And I think you're the best person to kind of tell us about this because not a lot of our listeners would know about this. So very simply, if you could just explain to our listeners exactly what your job is. And I mean, what is a typical day at work for you? How do you start your day and how do you end your day? What goes on?
That's hard to say, Amogh. So actually, I started here with the club 10 years ago, more or less. October 2010. That was the first season when Borussia Dortmund became champion with Patrick Owomoyela. 2011, we won the championship. 11-12, the double with Patrick Owomoyela. So it was a good time to start for me too. What do I do here? I'm in marketing and sales. So in the end, let's say we consider ourselves as being a catalyst. So whenever the guys on the pitch perform well, we try to even amplify that. We try to reach out to as many people as possible, to the ones that already follow BVB, make their emotions stronger, to people that have not yet been in touch with BVB and somehow create some passion for the club. And in times where the guys on the pitch don't do that well, we try to still look at the positive side and create some positive news about the club and around the club.
Okay, to kind of get into that a little bit, and pardon my ignorance here, but is the office that you work with at the stadium, like, do you go to the stadium every day? Do you go to the Westfalen Stadium, or should we call it the Signal Iduna Park? I don't know what the correct nomenclature for it right now is.
I should call it the Signal Iduna Park.
There we go. So let's all call it.
I don't work at the stadium, but I can see it from our headquarters, which is only a couple of meters away. So every morning I enter my office, I can see the beautiful stadium right next door, which obviously is a big motivation then. And having days like today, where today in the evening, you can see, let's say, the main thing that the club is about, the sports itself. That's where we draw a lot of motivation from, and emotion as well, obviously, for the club and for the job as well.
That's awesome. I mean, if I had a stadium to look out of my office window, I would be way more productive than I currently am. That's for sure.
Would you though, or would you just keep staring at the stadium? Because I'd want to look at the stadium, see what drills are happening. I'd be completely distracted.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd like to tell everyone that I'd be way more productive, but maybe that might not happen.
Wishful thinking, Amogh. It's called wishful thinking.
Absolutely. Patrick, I want to come to you right now because you and I have a very special connection. And you don't know this yet. And I don't know if Akash and Mukesh know about this yet. But you and I play the same position. We are both right backs. So now the thing is, Akash and Mukesh are both goalkeepers.
I like how Amogh's trying to put himself in the same league as Patrick. No, we're very similar. We play right back, same position.
I mean, okay.
I don't know anything about
skills.
I can really, I can really tell if he's, if it's a long stretch or if we are really quite
he's
smart.
full of shit. He's full of shit. I'll be really honest with you. He plays right back as well as he speaks German.
The position is the same, no matter what.
The position is the same, exactly. It's the, like how you guys have the goalkeepers union, of which I am also a part of because I've played goalkeeper as well. But us right backs.
Another thing we have in common. I was a goalkeeper at a very young age. So there
we go. So then
we are
all
brothers. We are all stop trying to rain on my parade. Patrick and I are brothers. All right, we're long lost brothers. We are soulmates. Goalkeeper and right back. That combination is absolutely brilliant.
I wouldn't go that
Hold
far.
on, I'll just go get cornrows and come. I'll braid my hair and come. Then we'll see who looks more like brothers.
Fine. You've got.
And the best part is, I support the club where Klopp is at, and I have the best connect, and I haven't said.
Okay, Klopp is not with Borussia Dortmund anymore. All right, let it go, Mukesh. Let it go. But yes, what I was saying, Patrick, was you play my position right back, and I just want you as a European club's right back to let our listeners know, some of whom are also kind of young listeners who are probably playing for their schools, what qualities does one need to be a good right back?
So you have to be very versatile. Actually, there's a lot of running involved because you have the most farthest part of the pitch to cover, all of the sideline, defending all the way back and then attacking all the way forward. So it would be perfect if your stamina is made for that. And obviously, I like physical right backs too. So big in stature, physically strong, out push their opponents. It helps a lot if the speed is really well, because you don't have to just go all the way. It makes sense that you pass a couple of people on the way doing that. So speed is an issue as well, and it always helps when you technically well prepared. So not just one-footed, maybe use both of them, because once you face an opponent that can stop you on a straight line, maybe you have to break it and tuck inside and use the other foot doing that. So there are a lot of qualities you need, but the most important thing I would say is speed and endurance. That's something you should definitely need in that position.
And discipline also, I'm guessing. Discipline is something that,
of course, tactical discipline. You have to know, when is the right moment to attack, and because your main assignment is defending in that position. And nowadays there are a lot of right backs that tend to forget that from time to time.
Yeah. And this is why we know Mukesh is. This is why we know Mukesh is a goalkeeper, because no discipline, no speed, no endurance, no attacking prowess. He's very happy just sitting in front of goal, and he's a good keeper. I'll give him that. But I can see why that decision made a lot of sense. Sorry, I cut you off, Akash.
You guys play together in a team?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
It's like Sunday league.
5-a-side, 5-a-side mainly.
Yeah.
I just want to follow up on that question. How do you think the fullbacks position has changed over the last couple of decades? Because I feel like football has transformed. How do you think that particular position has changed?
It changed tremendously. I mean, when I started, basically I was brought on for defending, and that's it. So midfield was the farthest I should go.
Right.
Midfield was the furthest I should go, and was just there to defend basically, and then it changed over the years. You got more and more involved tactic wise. It changed too. So they before that it was a fullback, on the backside, and then you had a real winger up front, a midfield winger, so to say. So there were two persons to cover all that pitch, and it changed because that midfield winger wasn't there anymore so much.
Right.
So you had to cover a lot more ground, and that involved a lot more running, some more skills attacking wise, and and the speed of the game changed dramatically as well. So over the years, the speed of the game has got much quicker, and so it was not a question of if, but when my younger colleagues took over my part at Borussia Dortmund as well.
All right.
But he still has it, huh? Oooh, you still have it. I remember.
Still have it, yeah. When we play Legends games, yeah, then I try because they're even older people than me on the other side. That's why it works sometimes. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go to Benedikt, because as you can tell, all the three of us here are massive football fans, right? Does your job require you to be a football fan? Firstly, are you a football fan? Have you always been a football fan, or did you become a fan after you started working in football?
Don't lie now, Bene. Don't lie.
I am. I always have been. It has always been my sports, and to be honest, I think it helps at least. So you could probably do the job as well, but then it would just be a job. And I think if you do something with all your passion and it's somehow your passion, then you will do it a lot better than if you just consider it being something that you do because you somehow have to. And therefore, I'd say it certainly helps. It makes things more emotional. And as I said, if you come here in the morning, you see the stadium, you're starving for the next match, which I'm starving for quite a long time already now. Because nobody can come to the stadium.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, but public safety is paramount.
But is the view from your office good enough that you can stand there with a set of binoculars and get that feel?
Unfortunately not.
No.
Which club?
But it's quite a huge stadium, so not from our headquarters here.
Did you always support Dortmund, or were you like, I support Bayern, but oh no, my job took me to Dortmund?
Here I have to say I became a Dortmund supporter over which was as well an easy one. Patrick supported me by becoming a Dortmund fan because, as I said, when I came, it was such a tremendous period with Jurgen Klopp, with the team back then. It came naturally, and it was so emotional and so strong back then. Since then, it has never been a question again.
Right. I think with us also, Dortmund is kind of the German team to kind of follow, because by and large we follow the Premier League, just primarily because it's the telecast over here in India is heavily skewed towards the Premier League. So we've all kind of grown up.
Especially when we were growing up, during the young days when we were actually playing football, learning football, and watching football, the Premier League was the most accessible league to us.
How would you ever be a Manchester United fan if not by watching?
Yes, I get that a lot. Yes. How else? But I mean, Dortmund has always been the second team, even though Dortmund's anthem is "You'll Never Walk Alone," which Mukesh would, as a Liverpool fan, suggest is their anthem as well, and therefore would also suggest that I'm a closet Liverpool fan. I'm never going to admit it, Mukesh. Never going to admit it.
And the Liverpool-Dortmund games in the last 10 years have been the greatest. Like, they've been so epic. Epic games.
Can you imagine, like...
Not so much, though.
But it was just a little bit. It was just like a fine margins.
But can you imagine, like, Liverpool fans would be so used to being like Liverpool fans, you know all about how Liverpool fans can be, pre-game and post-game. Can you imagine the sheer confusion where the entire stadium is singing "You'll Never Walk Alone"? They're just like, wait, what? We're friends? How does that work? How's that? No, but let's go back to positional talk with Patrick. All right, you started off as a right back, but you also played defensive midfield. So how did that transition happen?
So you have to start earlier than that. not all the way back to youth, but in second Bundesliga, I was playing as a striker as well. So I was playing multiple positions coming up in the amateur leagues and in professional level as well. And as I mentioned, that it's always good when you have a skill set that is bigger than just one foot and just playing the vertical stuff. And so coaches just try out stuff sometimes, and I think I made it work in most of the cases. So over the years, I played right fullback, left fullback, defensive midfield, left midfield, right midfield. I played as a striker as well. The only position really I didn't play in pro level was goalkeeper, I think. And I just tried to do as good as I could and just try the best I could. And it worked out for me because I think I was able to, adapt to certain positions tactical wise, but with my skill set as well. I was not, the most technical skilled player, but I was clean in everything I could do. And that regards both feet of mine too. So that was okay and gave me a lot of options. But, it's a good thing and a bad thing on two sides, because once the coach knows that you can play multiple positions, he keeps you as an option for all these, but never gives you your real spot. So that's sometimes a problem as well. But I was okay with that. I think it worked out pretty well. And so I swapped positions from time to time. I think even in the national team, I played center midfield as well. Interesting.
Which is really interesting.
So where does that?
Go on. Sorry.
Where does that come from? I mean, like who or what starts that spark that causes a change in position? Is it something that you felt that, maybe I would be good at defending? Was it one of your coaches who said, let's try a tactical switch? How does that work? What was that conversation like?
I mean, obviously, when you're young and you play offensively in an offensive position and you like striking and scoring goals and all that stuff, then it's not your decision. Oh, let me try out fullback now because I don't want to be involved of that. No, obviously, it was a coach trying me as a right back. Even before we promoted to first Bundesliga with Arminia Bielefeld back in the days, I wasn't really happy with it because it was going really well at the time for me personally. It was my first year in the pro level in second Bundesliga, and it was going quite well. I had a couple of scorer points already, and we were mid-season. And he told me, the new coach came on, and he told me, "No, I want to try you at right back position." So there was a bit of a discussion, but he said, "Just do it once or twice, and then we'll figure it out from there." And I did it, and it worked out actually quite well. And I had a good game from that position as well. And it was kind of, it was fun doing that. It was a different role. It was a different, approach to the game, but it was fun. And so I stick to it, and I tried another couple of games, and then I scored from a different position as well. And I said, okay, why not? If he needs me, okay, I'll do it. But it wasn't my first choice. It wasn't, the easiest of choices. I was really angry at first, but I soon figured out that it might be a big chance as well.
Yeah. So, when we play five-a-side, that's the hallmark of a very good player. Because there are often times when, somebody new will just pop in and say, "Oh, can I get a game as well?" And you'll be like, "Yeah, come on, slot it into our team." And the first question you'll always ask the player is, "Oh, what position do you play?" Now, if that guy says, "Yeah, put me anywhere, bro." Yeah, in five-a-side. Yeah.
There's no position in five-a-side.
I mean, yeah.
Look, we don't play.
Patrick, we try and pretend. We try
and feel like we have some sort of formation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but only before the first whistle. And then it all...
That's true. Then it all goes, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, that's something that helps. I mean, we played that way when I was younger on the streets or in the clubs as well. There was no real position in practice and stuff because we didn't really play 11 against 11.
Yeah.
So, and that helps you actually to develop different skills. Yeah. And I think a lot of the new generation is kind of, missing that because we have now really well prepared players for a certain position, but not so many guys that can play it all. Yeah. And I think that's interesting. Especially five-a-side games are really good for youth development because everybody has to play every position.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I was just saying, if a player at that point says, "Oh, put me anywhere, bro. I just want to play," he's going to be a very good player.
Or
But
that one and
yeah,
hasn't figured out yet.
or the other way. With me, if I ever enter a game and they ask me where I play, I'll be like, "Oh, I play right back," because I know if I'm playing right back, I'm not in the middle of the action because I'm not very strong, but I can be agile. So I'll be like, okay, I'll stay at the side of the field and I'll control the game from here. You guys do all the main stuff.
Yeah, not very strong, but agile. Bene, that sounds a lot like you. What position do you play at five-a-side?
No, we need to know, what position do you play?
Bene, what position would you play in a five-a-side?
In a five-a-side, I cannot say. I was central midfielder. I played.
Oh, so okay.
Nice.
So you was in the mix of it. Okay.
Is there ever
on a low level? I don't want to speak about something I don't really know about. Former professional is with us.
You think we know anything about this, Benny? We have no idea what we're talking about.
We've done 100 episodes.
They make a whole podcast out of it, talking about stuff they don't know.
Yeah.
Is there ever a game where the professional players is it like a professional players versus the backroom staff? Do you guys ever play five versus five? And then if a player scores too well, you're like, okay, his social media is going to go down.
No, there isn't really. But I mean, we should go back to that when, to having these kind of games like in the end of the season when all is over. But you know what? Usually all the guys, they want to leave as quick as possible. So, and during the season, it would be probably too dangerous and too risky to do that. So unfortunately not, but this would be a fun thing, just, to mix it up a little or to just face them, for the pro guys, it would probably be really easy, but it would be a blast for all of the staff, and, all of the workers in the club. Yeah. Maybe.
I'm going to go to Benny for a bit because we have to talk about BVB's foray into the Indian market, because that's something that's really exciting. That's being cooked up now. What sort of footballing system could help Indian football and Indian footballers right now, and how do you see Dortmund kind of helping with that?
In the end, I cannot say because we would never consider ourselves as being something, I don't know, a consultant or a teacher. What we can only say is we're happy to share what works for us and what worked for us, especially over the last 10 years, or 15 years, let's say.
Yeah.
We may have heard about the financial crisis that the club survived 2005 and 2006, and obviously that was probably the basis for being a successful one of the top 10 European clubs right now. We had to focus on building our own talents back then.
Absolutely.
We didn't have money to buy established players or even star players. So we invested a lot in our academy, and we, in the end, made this as being a unique proposition of our club. And I think this is something that we can only highlight always. You have to know what you stand for. You have to know who you are, make use of your strength, and then you can be successful. So we're happy to share these thoughts. We're happy to share how, for example, we run the academy, but we cannot say how it should be run in India.
Absolutely.
And I am from Hyderabad, so that's great that when I heard about Dortmund coming into Hyderabad. I just want to know how you guys chose Hyderabad. What does it mean for the Hyderabad team? Like, what would it mean? Like, what would a match be like? What does do the academy players get to train with under Dortmund players, under Dortmund coaches? How does that work?
I'd say in the end, there are two different pillars that it's based on. One is obviously the human relationship. So we have somebody who's traveling to India quite often, who knows him very well, who has lived in India for a couple of months already. And he, in the end, got along very well with the guys from Hyderabad. And in the end, for us, as a club that is always down to earth, that is always somehow based on emotion, based on close fan relation, it's as well about the relation to our partners. And therefore, this was certainly one aspect of it. And the other one is they are black and yellow. That's a nice bit. And I think they as well have a similar positioning to our club. They as well want to focus on their academy. They want to focus on building their own talents and make this one of their core competencies. And therefore, we said, let's go for it. It feels right. It feels good. Unfortunately, now, obviously, Corona makes it not that easy to exchange as often as we wanted and to meet each other as often as we wanted. But we will certainly do that after this whole pandemic.
It feels very good.
Yeah. Was there like a defining moment when you guys decided, you know what, this is the right time to enter India and Hyderabad FC is the club that we're going to partner with? Was there like a, like a boy meets girl sort of, proper rom-com meet cute moment?
I wouldn't say that there was this special moment, but for us, it's always to do it step by step. And one day we felt like, look, 2017, there was this under-17 World Cup in India. I think Jadon Sancho performed very well. Another player who's on loan now, Sergio Gomez, performed very well, who was in Dortmund back then. And we felt like, wow, there is pure and authentic enthusiasm for football. It's something that comes from the heart, right? And therefore, we felt like this somehow is a fit to Dortmund as well, because here everything comes from the heart as well. It's not that something is artificial or we just do something for the sake of doing it for business reasons. It's always something that is based on the love for football. And we feel in India, people follow football for the same reason. And that's why we said, wow, let's go for it. There is certainly some emotional good touch points. And since then, as I said, there are people that are traveling to India quite often. We're having guys from India coming here for our matches quite regularly. And it feels good.
We look forward to our tickets coming in soon.
Sorry?
We look forward to our tickets coming for the games.
Yeah.
We're happy to welcome you here whenever possible again. Honestly, you're invited. Come here, join us for a match.
I'm going to make sure
Liverpool in semi-finals of Champions League, huh?
I'm going to make sure that I edit that little bit out and take that to the Signal Iduna Park when I'm in Germany next and just be like, hey, listen, here, I don't have a ticket, but I have this. This is Benedikt Scholz. Said this on my show.
This is much better than a ticket.
All right, Patrick, I'm going to come back to you for a second. Now, you worked with some of the best managers in the game, most notably, of course, Jurgen Klopp and Jurgen Klinsmann for the national team. Can you give us an insight into the two of them and what playing under both of them was like?
An insight of those two. I mean, they both actually put it out there. I mean, their personality is quite known all over the world. It was a little different, obviously, with Jurgen Klinsmann because he was the national coach back in my time, and you just meet him a couple of times a year, so it's not that big of a connection, than your club coach, and but he was a motivator himself. He was more of the guy that likes to talk and get the right kind of energy into the guys and of course out of the guys on the pitch as well. And he had the help of Jogi Löw, the actual national coach of Germany at the time, as an assistant coach. He was doing the practical stuff on the pitch mostly, and Jürgen was more of a motivator and talked us through everything. And with Jurgen Klopp, obviously, it was so much fun working under him. It was a young coach at the time, so basically he had my age now when he took over Borussia Dortmund, and I just figured that out and felt, man, he was quite young. And I felt, coaches are always, older guys, but no, he wasn't really that old. And maybe that gave him an extra help connecting with the players still. He was, he came off the pitch. He was a second Bundesliga player himself. And it wasn't too far ago when he took over Dortmund that he was still, a player, only a couple of years. And let's say, I don't know, 6 years or something. And you felt that he was quite close to the team. He was really talkative. He was really verbal about anything, and he was entertaining too. And that made it easy to, go to everyday practice and everyday work, but enjoying it and having fun. There were times when it was rough and loud and a little, edgy, but overall it was a fantastic time, and we had blasts, and we had the success to go along with it. So
I want to ask, what is a Jurgen Klopp halftime talk when you're winning, when it's a draw, or when you're losing? What happens? I'm so curious.
Both are intense or can be intense because you.
All right. So, Mukesh, you want to just take that question again? And before that, Patrick, do you want to just let our listeners know what happened?
Yeah, I don't know. I got a question and I was talking to you guys, and on the other end, there was, nothing but
absolutely.
That's what we have to work with here, Bene, today, huh? That's what we have to work with.
Yeah. No,
see, we told you, in our defense, we told you we're not professional. We don't know how to do this.
You proved your point.
We stumbled across it.
Absolutely.
To be honest, this was all a stunt just to, for a call back to the fact that we're bumbling buffoons.
Yeah, right. Okay. Mukesh, you were saying.
Yeah, so my question was, I have a question which is that I was wanted to know, because you worked with Jurgen Klopp, and of course he's my favorite manager. What is the Jurgen Klopp halftime talk when you're winning, when you're losing, or when it's like draw, when it's like a 0-0 or 1-1 at halftime? What does he say?
He says a lot, and it can be intense in all of the ways. It really depends on not just the result of the game, but how the game is going, and if he needs to, just add a little bit of fuel to the fire of the team, or does he, think you're about to overshoot it and just calms you down a little bit. Usually, it's really about details of the game. When we haven't really found the right solutions, sometimes then he will point out what way we could do better in certain situations. And it's not really important if we are 2-0 ahead or 1-0 down, or it's still a draw. It's about making the game better and doing the right kind of adjustments at halftime. And he usually finds the right words. Sometimes it's just words and just, a little push here and there, or just a little pat on the back and saying, come on, calm down. Don't be, too excited, don't be too, nervous or whatever. Or sometimes it's, come on. It has to be a little more than that. So sometimes it's little things. Sometimes you will get some video about situations to really, show what he's talking about. But it's not a long talk. You will get that the day before. So for the last meeting, then you will get the real prep talk, and after that, it's more adjusting to what the game offers.
Yeah. How does this famous hug feel like? Like have you ever had a Klopp hug? Is it a bone crushing hug?
Sometimes I don't know if it's a hug or a slap on the back. I don't know. Sometimes he's so excited that he really hits both fists in the back, and he's a big guy, so he can really hurt you doing that. But the most funny thing whenever we got out of the locker room, actually, there's shake hands with everybody, and he's right at the exit towards the pitch, and he will shake hands with everybody. And sometimes, with the other hand, he gives you a little, smack in the neck. Yeah, can really hurt. That gives you really some. I get goosebumps now because I can. But he says sometimes you ask him, I say, "Come on, why are you doing that all the time?" He said, "Yeah, but to wake you up, to really, get you going, because it's not nice. It's not a good thing to feel, but but it's not a bad thing too. It's in between. It's just on the edge to be angry with him, but it's right there." He says, "No, but I need you to be focused, and that's how I wake you up." So okay, whatever.
Amogh, I can't wait to get back on the pitch with you again, because I'm going to take a leaf out of Mr. Klopp's book.
Give me a hug. Give me a hug. Give me a hug.
At the end. Back thumping hug. But so I had another question, which is, what's the music like in a Jurgen Klopp locker room? Is it heavy metal? Do you listen to Scorpions?
No, he has absolutely no say in that. So it's not a Jurgen Klopp locker room. It's the team's locker room, and it depends on the players. In my time, I was right there by the boombox, and doing some music, but there were funny times. We had some South American players, and they wanted to bring their music in there, and everybody was like, "Wait a minute, no, that's not the right kind of music here." But those guys standed up and were dancing, and so it was sometimes really funny, but usually it was not Jurgen Klopp telling us what to play. He either came in and said, "Oh, what is that?" or turn it off, or make it louder sometimes as well. I think the Rocky theme song would be something he would play when
Nice.
would be his choice, something
Nice.
like that. Some motivational,
Nice.
what brings instant pictures into your head. That was probably something he would play.
Nice.
And what was your go-to music for like prep during a game, before a game?
It switched back and forth between. So when we switched back from boombox to individual, because back then, people started then wearing the big headphones and not the little plugins, but the big ones. Yeah. And so when I was to myself, it was switching back and forth between hip hop music and heavy metal music. I was listening to a lot of Metallica before games, and there were some songs just they really revved me up, and that was something. But hip hop is I would say my favorite music. So usually it was hip hop, but sometimes I needed that extra little, and then it was Metallica.
Nice. All right, Benny, I'm sorry. Yeah,
absolutely an expert in this topic, in this field. So we have actually, as Borussia Dortmund, we have built a Legends team. I think 2.5 years ago. Actually, we started with a game here at Signal Iduna Park versus Liverpool Legends, which was quite nice. Patrick is part of it, so it's nice to have him on the pitch, but his main task during the trip is he's our CEO. He's our Chief Entertainment Officer.
Yeah, Chief Entertainment Officer.
For the party, for the music, and that's why he's absolutely the
I got promoted. I'm director of nightlife and entertainment now, so I'm not just a CEO anymore. I'm director. I'm on the board now. But that's quite funny. Yeah, when you travel the world or come together with former teammates and those guys, the Legends teams, it's it has to be fun. And you have to sometimes you have to take things into your own hands. So I love to play that part. I did it as a player as well. I was always guys, let's meet, let's hang out, let's do that, let's go to a party, let's meet at a restaurant, whatever. That was my job as a player as well, and I still have that in me. So why not do it with the Legends team as well? That's always fun meeting those guys and having a good time. And Ben is head of that as well, so he's involved in all that too, and he has to sign the checks that I can spend then.
So I'm guessing he's not very happy with your promotion then.
Oh, he is. Yeah, he is.
I didn't know about that, but we'll discuss it separately.
He sits there, as a businessman, dressed well, always properly dressed and well spoken, but he can loosen up. I tell you that. He can loosen up. He's a nice guy. When off work, he's a real nice guy.
Yeah.
We had scheduled a trip to India, by the way. We were supposed to come to India in March with the Legends team.
Oh, man.
It was all set up, and then Corona came across. So we will definitely do that after.
Touch wood, this pandemic will end very soon, and we can host you guys in Mumbai for sure, and do like a live version of this podcast, and just hang and show you around town.
Or in Hyderabad.
We'd also love to play five-a-side with you, and then
Yes.
Patrick and Amogh can fight over who plays right back. I would love to see that fight.
I'm happy going in goal for that one. He's far more experienced than I am.
I don't pick a position. I'm just happy to be on the pitch. I don't pick a position. But no, Ben is absolutely right. We were about, almost on the way to the airport, and it got canceled. And I for myself, having been to India twice now, 3 times, I don't know, twice, and had a fantastic time. I would really love to come back and just experience that country again, and all the culture and all the food, obviously, and stuff. So I always had a blast going there. It was really impressive, but I loved it, and I would love to see even more. Not just Mumbai, Hyderabad as well. I've been to Delhi, of course, and then what was the other? It's more of a business city. It's a big city, a business.
Bangalore?
Bangalore, yeah. I was in Bangalore, and then I was in Kochi as well.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Lovely.
So those three areas I visited, but of course, there's so much more to see, and I would love to come back. And the team also, they would have a blast in India.
Yeah. Are there any plans for the Borussia Dortmund first team to come and do like a pre-season in India at any point? I mean, obviously once travel restrictions ease up and it's safe for people to travel around the globe again.
So our last plans have been crashed, obviously. So last summer, our plan was to come to Asia, but specifically China and Singapore.
Okay.
And let's say the next step is now to do that, and to visit those two countries where we had already announced to come.
Right.
I'd say we're absolutely up for it. Next step will be legends would come. We would see what's the reaction as well from people there.
Yeah.
Patrick was there. I think 2 other legends have been there on individual trips, so we've received quite positive feedback. It was great. But one day, for sure, probably not next summer, not 2022, but we're up for it.
Oh, we're looking forward to it. I think by that point, we will have also crossed 200 episodes and we'll be able to do a podcast without getting cut off in the middle.
Us out,
I think...
Don't make promises we probably won't be able to keep. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
All right. This is a bit of a general knowledge question. All right. And I'm posing this to both Patrick and you, Benny. A lot of people don't know this, but German football has the 50+1 rule. It's not something that a lot of leagues around the world have. I personally know a little bit, obviously not a lot about the rule, but what little I know about the rule is fascinating to me. And I think that's how football should be run. So just for our listeners, can you guys explain the 50+1 rule?
No, that's something for you, Benna.
Yeah, okay. I would love to hear your explanation and your understanding as well.
Mine?
Yeah, yours.
Mine or the one of Amogh?
Patrick Owomoyela, yours.
Sure. So all I know about it is that it means more than 50%, so 50+1% of the club cannot be owned by a guy, a privateer, or a brand or whatever.
Yeah.
So that means that the majority of the club always, belongs or has to belong to other guys. And there's no, I don't know the English word for it, but in England, there's no, we have so many situations where there's a rich man, an Arabian guy or Chinese guy who's buying these English clubs and then just does whatever he wants to do. And I think in Germany, it's not that simple, or it's not possible. And so the club stands on, not bigger feet, but on different feet, and it's not just ruled by one person or one big brand. And I think it's a good thing. But Bena, help me out here. I'm struggling a little bit. Tell me if I'm in the right direction at least.
No, you're absolutely right. I think in the end, Germans are seen as always being a little traditional. And I think this year is something that comes from German mentality, and I think it's absolutely a good thing. So 50+1% of the shares of the club will still remain with the members in the end, with the fans. And I think in German football, at least the majority is of the opinion that the whole system is based on the fans, is based on the interest of people for the sports itself. And that's why I think the decision on the 50+1 rule says in the end that the members still have a strong voice. They will more or less decide where the club is going to, and that there will not be investors coming in buying 55% or even more of the shares of a club and deciding about the direction of the club. Because there are some examples in world sports where certainly this was not a good thing. Others have proven to be quite successful as well, with investors in the back. But I think here, German football is, let's say, keeping the roots of the sports itself, giving the members and the fans themselves a strong voice, and that's what it's about.
That's all. As a supporter of Manchester United, at this point, I am so wishing United was playing in the Bundesliga and was a part of this rule. I'm so, God damn it! But that's for a different episode.
How does decision making work in a process like that? Like, how do you have a shareholders meeting with those many people involved?
In the end, we usually have our annual meetings where all the main points that concern the club are spoken about and are discussed with our members. So there will be no decision that is really driving, let's say, the club's future without speaking to the members, without speaking to the people that carry the club and that are the basis of the club.
And when there's an urgency, you will call these meetings not just annually, so there can be extra meetings set up
Right.
when there's something big. Obviously every member has to give his voice to.
Perhaps
That's amazing.
perhaps a point when that meeting, like that urgent meeting, can be called for would be when Manchester United comes in for a triple swoop on Jude Bellingham, Jadon Sancho, and Erling Haaland. Triples. No.
Did you hear that scoff? Did you hear Patrick just go, this guy is ridiculous? I mean, they can't keep
Hold on, I
maintain
got
a
something.
Zoom link, but
Amogh,
this is another level.
No, Amogh, I got something for you. Hold on.
One can dream. One can dream.
Amogh's basically just trying to build his football manager team in reality.
But
Also, Amogh thinks this is the way United can get Sancho. Like, if everything didn't work, but through this, if he makes a pitch for it.
No, but interesting point there. Speaking about Football Manager, all right? Patrick, you've won the Bundesliga twice. Akash and I have also done that, but we've done that
as a manager.
We've done that on FIFA and Football Manager. So we have a fair idea of what happens and what it takes to kind of go on and win the championship. We kind of know.
We know exactly which menus to open, which buttons to click.
That's about it. I wouldn't say you have. But go on.
What we need to know from you, just to make our information complete, our knowledge base complete, is what happens after the final whistle. In that final game, when the final whistle blows, and where it's official that you are champions. What happens then? What happens in the dressing room? What happens when you go home? Can you sleep at night, or is the adrenaline just too heavy?
There's footage of all that. You just have to look it up. There's footage out there, especially of our way of celebrating it. And it, of course, it unleashes directly on the pitch. There's there's just emotions everywhere, overwhelming. Especially the first one in 2011 was really an overwhelming one, and emotionally for all the fans and all the players as well, and all the staff of the club. And it really turns into a big party. It's usually, it's not the time when you rent that truck and go around the city. That will happen in the end of the season, obviously, and has to be planned. But there will be an instant party somewhere. There are restaurants that are blocked fully for the entire team and staff. And it's celebrating from the last whistle to, I don't know, mid of next day usually. Then you have to get a little bit of sleep, and then you meet again just to, laugh about it, how fun that season was. It's a couple of days without training, that's for sure. But they are usually, it's been in both championships. It was, I think, 2 or 3 weeks before end of the season. So there were 2 more games. And of course you don't want to, just throw them away and just, there are the teams that are struggling for something, at least, maybe relegation or stuff. So you have to perform on a decent level at least. But there will be a couple of days off to catch your feet again, and then go back to business as much as possible. It's not really, as a player, once you won that trophy and there's no cup final in the end, which we had the second year around. When there's nothing like that, then it's really hard to focus for the upcoming weeks. It's really hard because the tension isn't there anymore. There's no big pressure anymore. It's just joy. But you give it your best, and there's still business involved. There's still money involved in the Bundesliga and for every club. So you have to be professional, but it's a big celebration for the remainder of the season.
So a follow-up question that I have for that is, there's 2 scenarios. All right. You can be the champion 3 matches before the season ends. Mathematically, you can be the champion. Or the championship is decided in the last game of the season. Which one do you prefer as a player? Because 3 weeks
on the
before,
outcome. I win both.
Let's say you're going to win both, because this is only what happens as a champion scenario.
Last day of the season would be the most. It would be, it really, throughout the season, even though you're going in the right way and maybe you're a couple of points ahead, you still think, no, something will happen, something can happen. So there's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of uncertainty there. And that gives you a lot of adrenaline in every game. And but every game, every victory then is even sweeter. So before the games, you're like, I hope we don't mess up. Let us just get this one more and then get one step closer to it. But to that feeling is special. It's, of course, once you won it, that's the biggest thing to have and to reach. But that feeling is special when you're still hunting for it, but it's there it's still there for everybody, and still somebody can take that away from you. This kind of feeling is you're still hunting something, and that's extra. That's just bigger than anything else. So I would choose last game day. When the outcome is the same, then I would say last game, because it would be I'd rather, if I lose it, I don't know. Is it a different approach when I would lose both on the last day? Yeah, the last day would hurt more. Because you really believed until the very last day, and then somebody takes it away. That would be even worse.
No, because win or lose last day, the adrenaline and the emotions would be at a peak either way.
Yeah, that's right. But when you lose it on the last day, then the hurt is much bigger than when you lost it. When it's clear, like 3 weeks before end of the season, it's clear, okay, they won it, okay, but let's get the 3 wins. You can still finish with a good feeling, if you get that 3 wins in. But if you lose on the last day, all you feel for the whole summer, the whole break is, I lost. And it's,
so it's different. I have a question for the both of you, actually, Patrick and Benny, which is regarding transfers. As a player, you've played for many clubs, and Benny, I'm sure you've seen the coming and going of many players who've gone from Dortmund to either clubs within Germany or outside. So what is it like as a player to take that decision to, like, okay, I've played for this club, I've had some great time here, I need to move on? Or is it like, that seems to be a dilemma? And for Benny, to you, what is it like to pursue a player, or what is it like to let a player go? What happens? How do you make that cost-benefit analysis? How does it work? Especially for a club like Dortmund, there's so much emotion attached to the club and the players, right? Unlike other clubs which have a lot of money and just buy players.
Liverpool.
That's no way to talk about Everton, dude.
I can't really answer the question, because I've never went to a club and had in my head. No, I mean,
Bremen, right?
Yeah, I was in Bremen, but they told me that it would probably a good situation for me to move on. I've never, even though I had only a year left in my contract, which is still a whole year, and to me it was, there was no thoughts about thinking about anything, but I would never even consider going somewhere else, because I don't know. I wasn't that kind of player that was, aiming for a certain club or a certain league or whatever. I was, always happy with the decision I made, and I would try to make the best out of it. There was once that time I had to do it when I went from Bielefeld to Bremen, because it was, it was more about, making the right step in my career to advance, for being a national player and all that stuff. So I had to take the next step to a big club. But once I reached that level, I was never thinking about, I would love to play in Spain, or I'd love to play in England, because I thought I was at a club, one of the best clubs in Germany, and there's so much to gain and so much to win with this club. So in my opinion, I was never that player who, who had a career plan and say, okay, I go to this club, and then maybe 2 good years after that, I could join with whatever, Real Madrid, or, the biggest names. I wouldn't say the biggest teams, but the biggest names in world football at the moment.
So, I, in the end, have to give you the same answer as Patrick. I cannot answer the question, mainly because it's not my area of responsibility. But I think what I can say is that no matter for any employee, for us, it's important to let them know what Dortmund is about. I mean, the city of Dortmund is not comparable to Hamburg, to London, to Paris. There has to be a strong reason why to come here. And in the end, it's the club itself. It's the characteristics of the club, the positioning of the club, the emotion. And therefore, it's really important for players, for any other employee, to let them know what Dortmund is about, how it feels like. Every new employee, every new player gets what we call a brand shower to understand what the unique characteristics of the club are. Every new employee gets a city tour with one of our diehard fans to look at the historic sites where the club was founded, for example, where these 18 young people came together to say, let's build Borussia Dortmund, let's found it here. In order to somehow create an understanding why this club is as big as it is. And therefore, I think this is probably a little unique and a little different from other clubs as well, that have different reasons to convince players to join them.
Awesome. All right, we're going to be wrapping this up very shortly because we're running out of time. But I just wanted, before we go, just kind of check out how good the scouting system on this podcast is. So both Benedikt and Patrick, who's the one player that you would like to buy for the current Dortmund team? And of course, you can't say Neymar's and Messi's and Ronaldo's because those guys are completely different and nobody wants them in their team. But who's basically a player that you guys have seen in other teams, maybe a young player or maybe a player at his peak who can add something to Dortmund? And you'd be like, if you were, for example, if you were playing FIFA right now as Dortmund, who's the one player you would buy?
Can I say Zinedine Zidane?
I mean, yeah, FIFA does have a Legends mode, so I guess technically you can.
Hold on. As a player or as a coach?
As a player.
Okay.
As a player. He was always my star. Not because of any team he played for, but he was always my star. So I would go for Zinedine Zidane. In my memory, he never lost a single ball during his whole career. So
that's a good
I'll
one.
go for him.
Yeah.
I'll take a more recent one. Let me just think. There's a lot of promising talent, but who's the biggest? We have all the young talents we already brought to our club, so we did a fantastic job doing that. So it must be somebody who's. I mean, there's this guy, Szoboszlai. He plays for Salzburg. The Champions League. He's a young Hungarian, I think.
Yeah.
Is he? And he's a very talented player. That would be interesting, just to have him aboard. But to me and my expertise, I love defenders more than I love, creative guys up front. I'm more of a hard, I appreciate hard work a little more than fancy stuff.
Yeah.
And I really love everything that France has to offer in that regard. So all the France defensive talents, they have so many talents in their league, in our league as well. There are so many French players in Germany, in the Bundesliga as well. Yeah. They're playing for a totally wrong club at the moment, and that would be interesting to see where their development goes and what they could do once they wear the right colors. But it's not up to me or Bene.
Okay. Lovely.
One more question from my side, which is that you guys have very recently, over the last few hours, had a managerial change. How do you think that's going to work out? Because Edin Terzic, if I'm not mistaken, is taken over. Is he a temporary manager? Is the club looking at him long term? What can we expect from him?
So he's been with the club for the last 10 years now, more or less, a little break in between. He's been in scouting. He's been before that in youth development in our club, as well as a coach and assistant coach. And he's been an assistant coach in the Premier League for the national team. And so he collected a lot of experience. He's worked with this team now for quite some time. And I think he has a good connection and a good feel to what the team needs, what the club wants. On the other hand, he's a total expert in this sport. That's for sure, even though he's quite young. And I think he has a very interesting and good approach in football in general. So the club obviously signed him until summer, and that's a couple of months, but still it's a long time. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to change, and then we'll talk about how things worked out. I think it's fair to say that it's always a difficult task for the club, and of course for the new coach as well, taking over something after it's been ripped apart a little bit. But I have good hopes. I hope the team accepts this new situation and does the right kind of adjustments, and really gives Edin the chance to work with them and to change things, and then it can really work out for both sides, for the club.
One thing is for sure. I mean, Patrick already mentioned that. He's from Dortmund. He knows the club for decades already. And I think what I just shared before, we don't have to explain to Edin what Dortmund means and what BVB means and what the club brings with it and how much emotion this club creates. And therefore, I think this is something that he will make use of as well in his work with the team. And I think with this tight schedule over the next couple of weeks, he will certainly bring in this emotional part very, very strongly. And his two assistants, one is which Oooh as well played in the past together, Ado, former professional as well. The other one is a young manager as well who used to train at our academy and became champion with his teams quite often in youth competitions in Germany. So it's an interesting mix, and indeed, as I said, as Patrick said, we wish him all the best, and certainly he will bring in a lot of passion and enthusiasm for the job.
Awesome, that's lovely. And as a United supporter, I can say that even if you sign a manager on a short term, he can turn things around and get a long-term contract, and we love to see that. I see you looking at me like that, Akash. Don't give me that look. But yes, I think we need to kind of wrap up now. So I'll just give the last question, which is to both of you guys. It's a very simple question. There is only one answer to this question. Which is the best football podcast in the world that the two of you have ever been on?
So there's only one I have, downloaded, and that's Corner Flag of India. So.
What? That's okay.
That was
Patrick,
unprompted. That was completely unprompted.
Thank you so much, Patrick. And Benny, which is your favorite and best football podcast that you've ever been on?
Yours, obviously.
Oh, okay.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Guys, we love you. Thank you so much, Patrick and Benny, for joining us on this episode of the Corner Flag. This was a blast because we got to learn a lot about Dortmund. We got to learn a lot about German football. We got to learn a lot about being a professional footballer. And I don't know. That was just fantastic. That was absolutely smashing.
So good to have insight from people like you guys, because you've given us an into a world that we're massive fans of, but we've not really been able to dive as deep into. So thank you. I had a great time.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. And we will see you in India very, very soon.
And hopefully then we can do a podcast together, in the same room.
Yeah.
I would love to.
I'm mainly saying that so that our Zoom link doesn't go.
Yeah, mainly for that.
I would like to do that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you so much, Benny. See you guys soon.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.